Good afternoon, everyone. This is Robert Jamieson. Welcome to our online chess lesson for Thursday, the 12th of February. As usual, we'll start off with a little puzzle and then we'll have a look at a game. And in case there's any newies here, what you do is open the question box by double-clicking on the little icon next to question. And I'll be asking various questions throughout the lesson, and you'll type your answers in the question box for me to have a look at. Now, some of you have had a good crack at this puzzle. Let's see if Uday can help us. You there, Uday? Can you hear me?
Yep.
Hi. You've had a pretty good go at this puzzle, haven't you?
Yep.
Do you reckon you've solved it? What move would you...
No, I don't think.
Okay, well, tell me your best try. What do you think White should do, perhaps?
Well, since the king's on c7, white cannot just take the pawn on b6 with his bishop.
Sorry, we've gone ahead. We're in the starting position now. The king's on b8.
Okay.
So what's your first move?
Rook h8.
All right, you're going rook h8 check. That looks like a good move. So king has to go to c7. And what's your next move after that?
Bishop e3.
Bishop e3. Now that looks pretty tricky because you're attacking the rook and the rook can't go to a8. But what are you going to do if black plays, say, b6 to block the attack? Have you got a good move here, or has black found a defense?
I think I've got a good move.
All right.
Rook to h7.
All right, so that forces king b8. Okay, but now black's threatening to swap rooks and have a draw because you haven't got any pawns.
Then move your bishop to
f4.
f4.
All right, so that forces king a8. So you're very close. I'm just hanging on by the skin of my teeth. What can you do now? Or have I got out? What do you think? I think I've escaped. Because you can check me on h8, but I just go to b7. You can check me on b8, I go to c6. I think I'm out. All right, let's go back to the start. I don't think anyone's come up with the answer. So let's see if I can ask you guys some questions that might help you solve the puzzle. So one of the things I like to do is rather than just analysing forwards, analysing moves that look promising, think about what end result you're trying to achieve, and maybe that can help you work out which is the appropriate move, or you can sort of work backwards from what you're trying to achieve. All right, so there are two ways white could win the game. So, Uday, what are the two ways? In theory, just in general.
You could checkmate.
All right, so he could possibly get a checkmate because black's king's on the edge. It hasn't got too many squares to go to. All right, what would be the second way we could win the game?
Stalemate.
Now, that'd only be a draw. What about if we took his rook? That'd be a win, wouldn't it, if we were able to win that rook?
Yep.
So we'd win on material. The thing we have to realise is that even if black was to lose all his three pawns, so we ended up with a rook and a bishop against a rook, that would probably still be good enough to draw for black. It's a bit hard, but with best player, that's meant to be a draw. So black can afford to give up his pawns to keep his king from checkmate and to prevent losing the rook. All right. Can we get a checkmate, do you think? Can we trap black on the side somewhere, or does he keep escaping on c7 or goes to c8 and d7? What do you think?
Yes, you can, but I completely missed it.
So you can get a checkmate.
Yep, I
Right.
think I've just seen it.
All right. Okay. Tell me your second try. What are you gonna do?
You start off with bishop f4
4.
check.
All right. I go king c8. What's your next move? Or were you hoping I was going to go a8 and you're going to checkmate me in the corner?
No, I
Have you got a good move or not?
was planning to go to a rook h8, but then you would just go to d7.
D7, and there's no checkmate. And you could try and trap my you could try and trap my rook, which is the other thing we're thinking about, by bishop e3, but I could just play even b6 or b5 and then let my rook escape and I'd be okay. Now, Oliver's screaming at me that he reckons he's solved it, so I might go and have a chat to him. So thanks you, Dave. Hello, Oliver. You there?
Hi.
Hi. You reckon you've solved it?
Confident.
Hit me with your best move. What are you going to do?
Rook c1.
Rook c1. Okay. So your threat is bishop f4 check, and then I go in the corner, and then you got rook c8 mate. But what do you think black's going to do? What's black's move?
I'm thinking it could be rook a8 or b6.
Okay, let's say I play b6. Can you get me now or not? Is my rook threatening to escape?
I could.
You could. Is it forced or?
Bishop f4.
Okay, this is like what we had before. I go king a8. Now, if you want, you can go rook c8 check, king up, and you've got perpetual check, or you can chase me out, but you haven't got a checkmate. All right, good try. Okay, let's see if we can work it out again. So we said the only way we can win is either checkmate or winning the rook. So it looks like we're not going to get a checkmate because black's king's got too many squares to run away to. Would you say that's fair enough?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So we have to focus on, can we win that rook? Because at the moment he's sort of trapped in a really silly spot on the corner. Though if he can move the b pawn, he escapes. So we've probably got to check him. So which do you reckon is going to be the most likely check? Rook h8 or bishop f4?
Probably rook h8.
Yep, I reckon that's the best one too. So let's go rook h8, king up. All right, now black's probably threatening b6 or b5 again, so maybe we have to check him. So rook check doesn't seem to do much. So we've got two bishop checks. We've got bishop f4 or bishop d8. Do you like either of them? No, I am saying bishop d8 is a good move.
I reckon f4.
You reckon f4? And I just move my king, say, d7? How are you going to trap my rook? Because if you play bishop e3, I play b6.
And then I can take the pawn. I'm still threatening the rook.
Yeah, but the rook goes to b7, and he's sort of escaped.
Then I can take the other pawn as well. So I just got two pawns.
Well, you only get one move at a time. So let's see, bishop e3, pawn up. If you take it, I go there. You take the other pawn. I'm thinking I play king up there. So my king's free and my rook's free. I don't think you've got me. Nearly. Let's try the other one. So let's try bishop d8 check. So black probably goes, well, he has to go king c6. Otherwise, we'd play bishop b6 and win his rook. All right, everyone. Anyone see a good move for white here? Type in the question box what white's next move is. Because the next move is the hard move to find. You have to use a bit of your imagination. But white does have a winning move in this position. You getting close, Oliver, or have I got you tricked? So we're not going to get we're not going to get a checkmate, but we're focusing on trying to trap that rook. Uday is looking at rook h6, but then the king just moves to d7, and we haven't got a checkmate, and we haven't trapped the rook. Callum has found it. Well done, Callum. Oliver, give you one last chance. Think about trapping the rook.
Maybe. This probably isn't a good move.
Yeah.
But maybe bishop b6.
Okay, so if you play bishop b6, don't I just take it with my king? Now I'm 3 pawns up for nothing?
Yeah.
End of analysis?
That would be a good one.
End of analysis? Question mark? So it's a win for black here. Callum's laughing at you. Can you see a good move for white here, Oliver? Remember, the rook can't move anywhere. The pawns can't move anywhere. The only piece black can move is his king. White, Ifu's seen it as well. All right, Oliver. Rook c8. Zugzwang. Black can't move his king. He can't move his pawns. His only move is going to be rook a8. If we win the rook, we win the game.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think? That's pretty cool, isn't it? 3 pawns down, sacrificing the bishop, and we end up trapping the rook after all. All right. So that was a pretty hard puzzle. So well done if you saw bishop d8, and even better if you saw the tricky move bishop b6. All right. Thanks, Oliver. I'll give someone else a go now. Let's go up. Talk to Callum, maybe. You there, Callum?
Yeah.
How are you today?
Good.
You saw bishop d8. Did you see bishop b6?
Yeah, I saw the bishop b6.
All right, well done. Excellent. Because that was a pretty cool move if you can see a move like that. All right, now the game I want to show you guys today is from the Australian Junior Under 8. The winner of the Under 8 title, Atlas Bailey, is playing black, so we can have a look at how he plays. But his opponent makes what I think is a fairly common mistake for juniors. He's got a rough idea of what to do. He knows which pieces he should be moving, and he has a rough idea where to put them. But in essence, he's not looking over the whole board and looking at tactics and looking at opportunities to threaten things and attack things, and he's just sort of playing along. So it's my rook's turn to move. I'll move it here. That looks nice, and he's missed a good chance. So we'll see if we can do better. So let's start off. E4, C5, D4. Now that's a bit funny. We normally play knight F3. Good move or bad move, do you think, Callum? Because the normal move, knight F3. You think it's even move, all right? So if you were black, what would you do?
Actually, I would just play knight F6.
Okay, counter-attacking, maybe. I think the most testing line is to take it. All right, everyone. Little test for you. White's move. What move would you make for white here? So type in the question box. So black's just taken your pawn. So he's a pawn up. So Ifu wants to play knight F3. What do the rest of you guys think? Callum wants to play knight F3. Passendal knight F3. Niam wants to play C3. Callum, tell me why you want to play knight F3.
Because it puts 2 pieces on it, and you're also developing
developing a piece.
Yeah,
But if
yeah,
you take it with the queen right now, it can be pushed away easily with a
yes,
developing move.
yes. So if we're a good player, we'll play knight f3. If we're an average player, we'll take the pawn, which is what white did. So that is bad, getting your queen out early if it can be biffed away. So black's obvious move is, Callum?
Knight c6.
Knight c6. So it's like a free developing move hitting the queen. All right, now, tricky question for you. We've got to move the queen. Where do you reckon we should put it? Because we don't want it out too far because it'll just get attacked again. But maybe we can put it somewhere reasonable where it's not in the way too much. Or maybe we should go back where we came from. I don't know. What do you think?
e3.
E3. Okay. I think if for
E3
me,
or going back.
if it's for me, I think I play A4. It's a bit out of the way there, and then I'm going to follow. I'm going to play pawn to C3. So if my queen gets in trouble, it can duck back to C2. I think that would be what I'd do. In the game, white just went all the way back. So now black's like ahead on time. He's got a knight out already, and he has another move up his sleeve. So white's just given up some time. Now white has more space. He has the pawn in the center, but that won't last too long. All right, what move you reckon would be a good move for black here, Callum?
E5.
E5, maybe.
E5 or knight f4? Knight f6?
Knight f6. I think knight f6, well, that's attacking the pawn. That's the square we want the knight to be on, and he can't chase us away with e5. So probably knight f6 would give black fewer options. So that's a good move. So remember, we're thinking about the 4 elements of chess: time, space, material, king safety. So black's doing well on time. He's got 2 pieces out. White's doing a little bit better on space because he's got 1 pawn in the middle. And white obviously plays knight c3 to defend. So he's defended the attack pawn, developed a piece on the square he wanted to anyway. All right, now it gets a little bit harder. What move will we do next, Callum?
E5 now.
E5 now. Yes, that's what Atlas did. So now you've got your foothold in the center, and you're not down on space. There might be a little bit of a disadvantage with E5. Can you tell me positionally what's a little bit of a problem with doing pawn to E5? Hello to Nico, by the way, who's just joined us. I think a newbie. So it's good in terms of space. It's good in terms of getting our bishop out, so our bishop can come out soon. But positionally, later on in the game, there could be a slight little problem. Efu's sort of spotted it. No idea, Callum? Niam spotted it?
Well, it will give white a little bit of advantage because now he can catch up on development.
Not really. This pawn here on d7. Do you know what we call this pawn?
Yeah.
What sort of pawn is it?
A passed?
No, it's not passed because I'm going to take it with my e-pawn. It's a backward pawn. You heard of backward pawns?
Yes.
Okay. Backward
And it's
pawn.
an island.
Well, it's a backward pawn on open file. Just Nico's asking me a question. Yes, Nico, I will unmute you at some stage and have a chat. So hopefully your microphone's on and you're in a nice quiet room. Yeah, so positionally, this pawn sort of can't go forwards. It's going to be a backward pawn on an open file. So might be a little bit of a disadvantage, but it might not as well. There are other more important things probably to worry about. So whites go. White plays knight f3. All right. What's your next move, Callum? Chess should be a pretty easy game. Tell me which piece we're going to move.
Pawn.
Pawn. Which pawn?
Pawn or bishop? D.
You're going to play a D pawn. So you're going to play pawn to D6. Is that your plan?
No. I'll play bishop B4
Okay. Why did you choose B4? What's so good about that?
because it sort of also sets up the D5 because the knight's pinned and now you can play D5
Yes.
without losing the space and material.
Okay. All right. It's amazing how many people get confused and get the wrong ideas in the opening. So if we focus on, as I said, time, space, material, king, safety, putting our pieces on best squares and hopefully only moving them once. So both sides have got their knights on the best square, so they've done well. Black has in the back of his mind that he's trying to castle. So to do that, he's going to have to move his bishop somewhere. So if you just looked at this position for a second, you'd say, okay, it's this bishop's turn to move. So you say, what's the best square? And clearly B4 is pretty good because now you've got a nice pin going on the knight. And also you're now threatening to take the e-pawn because the knight's pinned and no longer defending that e-pawn. So I reckon black is doing...
And getting ready for D5.
And maybe getting ready for D5, certainly getting ready for castling. So black's doing pretty well here, isn't he? Yep. All right. Thanks, Callum. I'll give someone else a go. We'll talk to our new guy, Nico, if he's there. You there, Nico?
Yep, I'm here.
Yep. Welcome. How are you?
Good.
You from Melbourne or whereabouts are you from?
From New Zealand and Auckland.
Oh, okay. All right. You're a little bit quiet, so if you can speak nice and close to the microphone. Okay, so you can help me for the next few moves. So black's just pinned our knight and he's threatening our e-pawn. So what move do you reckon white should do?
Well, I think because the knight on F6 is about to take the pawn on E4 once the bishop on B4 is going to take the knight defending it.
Yep. So what's your move?
Bishop to B5.
G for golf? G5, is that the move you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
B5, I mean.
Or B for Bob, B5. This one?
Yeah.
Okay. How is that helping you? Because isn't your e-pawn attacked? We just said that black's threatening to take the e-pawn. So if you play bishop to b5, aren't you giving him a free pawn?
That is true.
Yeah, so that's probably not the best one. Let's see if we can get everyone to help. So guys, we've got to help Nico here. What's the best move for white? What move would you guys play? So we've asked ourselves the vital question, what is he threatening? So we need to find a move that defends our e-pawn. So Niam's going bishop g5. Uday wants to do bishop d3. Anyone else have a thought? Which one of those two do you prefer, Nico? Bishop to g5 or bishop to d3?
Bishop to d3.
Yes. Okay, so Niam, if we do... I'll just get rid of the arrows here if I can. If we do bishop g5 pinning the knight, the trouble is black can play queen a5. And now if we take the knight, instead of taking back, black interposes, bishop takes, knight check. And I think he's picking up our pawn. So the best move, whoops, I've gone too far. The best move, bishop d3. So it defends the pawn, though it's not a really good spot for the bishop. It's like being a big pawn on d3. Okay, blacks go. All right, let's see. Nico, you have a think, and we'll get everyone to help you as well. What move should black play here? Because I think he made maybe only the second best move. What move do you reckon black should do?
Might be some assaults, like if the knight on F3 shifts,
Yeah.
the queen could Eventually get to g3, and the bishop could go to h6 as soon as the king is castled.
Oh, no, hang on. You're thinking far too far ahead. I don't think that's going to happen at the moment. So what we're doing, white's moved. We say, what is he threatening? He's threatening nothing. All right. So it's our turn to move. So we need to either focus on time. So we move another piece. King safety. We do castling to make our king safe. Maybe space. We could play d5. Or we could play bishop takes knight to double his pawns. So it's those sort of moves. So we're looking at castles, or we might play h6 to stop his bishop pinning our knight. d5, bishop takes c3. So let's see what people are saying. Ifu likes castle. Passenger likes castle. Ifu's changed his mind and gone for d5. Liam likes knight d4. So any of those moves we've talked about, Nico, appeal to you?
Yes, castling.
Okay.
Castling.
All right. That's what Atlas did. I think that's the second best one. Because I think black has an opportunity here. He's got white under pressure because this bishop's pinning the knight. And the move he should make is pawn to d5. So that gets rid of the backward pawn we talked about before with Callum. And we're sort of threatening to come up now either pawn to d4 or to take on e4. So if white were to take us, we could take with the queen, or more probably we would take with the knight. So now you see white's lost his centre pawn. Black has more space because he has a nice pawn in the centre, and black has a double attack going on this knight. So white's under pressure there. So I think this will just end up giving black a really lovely game. But instead, Atlas went castles. So let's see, what should we do after castles? I think white did the same. All right, white castled. So they've both made their king safe, and white's now got out of the pin. All right, Nico, let's have another go. What should black do now?
Well, I was thinking if white didn't castle, the queen could go to a5, but they did castle.
Yeah,
so
that would have been good, but he has castled. So we say, what is white threatening? Answer, nothing. So we can do whatever we like. So we've made our king safe, so we've got that one out of the way. We've got 3 pieces developed, so we've only got to get our bishop, our queens, and our rooks out next. Or we might want to do something with our pawns to try and gain some space. We might want to take his knight on c3. Any of them appeal?
Yes,
Which one do you like?
I think we should just go d5.
d5. Okay. d5 is pretty good, except for one little problem. So let's have a look. So I'll play white, you play black. So I'm going to take your pawn. So what move are you going to do for black?
Take with the knight.
All right. Then I'm going to take you back. What move are you going to do for white?
Take with the queen.
Okay. Now, we have a little problem. Can any of you guys spot it? Type in the question box what the problem is with the line Nico's just done. It's white's move.
I think.
You can see a problem, Nico? No one's out.
First of all, this bishop could go to c4 once there's some protection there.
No, Ifu's seen it. Well done, Ifu. Uday's saying c4. No. Niam's seen it. One of the things I say to do is look at all checks and captures. So, can you see a good check or capture for white? Passendal's seen it now. Uday's seen it.
I've seen a sacrifice. So the first bishop takes h7.
Yep, king takes. And what's happened to your unprotected queen? Ouch. You've blown your queen. All right, so that was an example of the importance of, before you make your move, asking yourself what's the opponent going to reply. So in normal circumstances, d5 would be a pretty good move, but we have to analyze it out. So you should have said, if I go d5, he takes, I take, he takes, I take with a queen, and then you have a look around and say, has he got some move I've missed? Oh my God, he's got bishop check, I lose my queen, so I better not do it. Okay, thanks, Nico. I'll give someone else a go. Thanks for your help. Let's go on to Passendal. You there, Passendal?
Yep.
Okay, you wouldn't have blundered your queen like that, would you?
Yeah, sorry.
Yep. All right. So what are we going to do for black? If we can't do d5, what move should we do instead? He's got a few
Maybe
reasonable moves.
Knight d4.
Knight d4. Now, hang on a second. We're moving that knight twice. So we have it developed. It's on a good square. So we must have a good reason to move it twice before we've got our other pieces into the game. Because I'm trying to get you guys to think about building up before you start attacking. So is there a good reason why your knight wants to go to d4?
Not really.
Not really. And I think he would just take your e-pawn and say, thank you for the free pawn. All right. So find me another move. Uday and Ifu are saying d6. What do you think about that?
I think that's a good move because you can develop the bishop and it's protecting the pawn.
Yep.
On e5, so move the knight there.
Yeah. Yep. I've got three moves. I haven't quite decided which I like best. I'd think about h6 to stop his bishop pinning me. I'd think about chopping his knight to double up his pawns, and maybe then I play d5. Or I do what Atlas did and the other guys suggested, just pawn to d6. So we're focusing on development. We haven't completed our development. We need to get our white squared bishop out. So pawn to d6 is a sort of obvious move because it releases the bishop. All right. White goes bishop g5. All right. So now he's got a pin on our knight. The question is it a good pin or is it a bad pin? So what would you do in reply, Passendal? What do you think? So he's
probably just kick it with h6.
You play h6?
Yep.
Yep, me too. I play h6. So the very worst, if he goes back, we've got a free move, and if sometime we want to play pawn to g5, we can. So unless there's a good reason to, you always kick the bishop, and he might make a silly move, like in the game, he just played bishop takes knight. What's the problem with bishop takes knight, do you think?
Because we can develop a piece and
yeah, we recapture with developing moves. So now black's got his queen out, and he's played the move h6. So he's like got two moves in, and all white's done is lost his bishop. And when you think about it, that was the bishop that's on the dark squares, and white's centre pawn's on the white square. So that was his good bishop as well. So that's probably a poor choice. All right. Now, white sort of has an obvious move here. Everyone, type in what white should do here. See if you can do better than he did in the actual game. Callum spotted it. Passendal spotted it. Anyone else white to play? Niam spotted it. Ifu. Ifu's going a3. Ooh. What do you think, Passendal? a3, would that be a good move?
no,
Why not?
because you miss a chance to fork the queen and the bishop.
Yeah, well, firstly, we have a better move, and I think that bishop probably wants to take the knight anyway to double the pawn. So you're like forcing it to do what it wants to do. So the problem with white is he's just sort of coasting along thinking, what do I want to do? You know, maybe I should develop something. I'll play queen e2. That looks like an okay move, but as most of you guys have seen, the obvious move, why doesn't he play knight d5? Now, it's moving a piece twice, which I said was a bit naughty, but it's chasing black's queen away, and it's attacking the bishop. So we probably want to get rid of that bishop so we've got a bit of control of the dark squares. So it's like putting a knight on a better square for free, because black will have to move his queen. But he didn't do it. He went, bless you, he went queen e2. All right. What do we do next? What do you think, Passenal? Because I think Atlas made a bad move here.
Maybe pin the knight by bishop g4.
Yep. Yeah, pinning the knight by bishop g4 looks like a pretty obvious sort of a move. So white can still play knight d5. That's not too bad. The other move I'm thinking of, whether I still chop his knight on c3 first, then I do the pin. But poor old Atlas had a brain fade. He did a6. What's he up to there? Any thoughts, Passendal?
Maybe he's scared that the bishop is going to come on b5.
Yeah, I mean, he's controlling one more square. It's an okay little move, but it's not the best move. It's like pretty much a waste of time. So he's got scared about something that's not really a threat. All right, so white, he's just coasting along here. He just goes rook e1. What do you think? Would that be the best move, or would there be something better?
I think there's something better because I don't think that the queen or the rook is doing anything special.
Yeah, so I mean, he knows he's trying to develop his pieces, and he's putting his rook on a better square, so that's sort of fair enough. But that's not an open file. I mean, it's not a killer spot for the rook, and he's walked straight into the pin again. So the bishop is now pinning the knight on c3 again. So it's not the greatest move. What he probably should do is say, what is black threatening? So what do you reckon black's threatening?
I think like black's threatening to do bishop g4 and then knight
Yes,
g4.
black's threatening the pin, bishop g4, then knight d4. So if white asks himself the question, he'd probably just play h3. And that sort of solves his problem of the pin. So that's pretty simple, isn't it? But he didn't do it. He did rook e1. All right, our go. We'll do your pin. That looks pretty good. What should white do? Black's threatening knight d4, isn't he? So we're in a bit of a pickle.
Just kick the bishop by h3.
Okay, the trouble is it's not a good kick because he plays knight d4, doesn't he? And then he's got a triple attack. Yeah. All right. I'll move on, give someone else a go, see what they say. Thanks, Passenal. Shravan. Let's see if Shravan's there. You there, Shravan? Hello, talk to me. Do you have a mic? Nope. Shravan's not talking to me. All right. Let's see if Ifu's talking to me. You there, Ifu?
Yep.
Yep. All right. So what's the problem? He's being pinned. What should he do? Black's threatening.
I think.
Yep.
I think knight c5.
Yes, yes. Again, if you had a look round at the whole board, it'd say, well, knight d5, sort of obvious move, and then black will have to move his queen and break the pin. So knight d5 is good, but poor old white, he's just coasting along. He's not even saying, what is he threatening? He's just saying, oh, it's my move. Oh, what'll I move? Let's play rook d1. That looks nice. So you can see how white sort of got all his pieces sitting there in the middle of the board on reasonable squares, but they're all pinned. And black's got threats, and white's not paying attention to the threats. So poor old white's in a bit of a pickle. All right, what are we going to do now? So it's black's go. Hopefully we've got some good moves coming up. Knight d4. Okay, that looks pretty strong, doesn't it? Is there any other move you'd consider?
Bishop takes knight.
Yeah, bishop takes knight would stuff him up positionally, and you'd end up with a good knight against a bad bishop. But trouble is, pawn would take back on c3, and your knight can't go to d4. All right, so knight d4 looks like the obvious thing. Okay, what should white do? Can we help him? You got any thoughts for him? You guys can help us maybe in the question box. White's obviously in strife with threatening knight takes queen check. What move do you reckon white should play? Type in the question box. What move are you looking at, Ifu? Uday is saying queen e3. Niam saying queen e3.
Yeah, I was seeing queen e3.
You reckon queen e3 is the go?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was thinking knight d5.
Sorry, say again?
I'm also thinking knight d5. Oh, no.
Yeah, I was thinking knight d5 too, until I realised knight takes queen is check. So that wouldn't be the greatest. All right, queen e3 looks like the obvious move. So what's going to happen after queen e3, do you think? Has black got a good attacking line? And then pawn takes.
And bishop takes.
And bishop takes. So you've opened up my king. You're threatening queen g6 check with a checkmate. You're threatening my rook. That's looking pretty horrible. Okay. So just one thought. When you are losing, your aim is to make it as hard as possible for your opponent to beat you. So you've either got to drag the game on as long as you can, or you've got to make it like as complicated as you can and hope he won't find the best line. Things like that. So probably the best move and the move most people would play would be queen e3. But it would be worth having a think about playing knight takes knight. Now, sure, you lose your queen. Bishop takes queen. Knight takes bishop. But you've got two pieces for the queen. It's not sort of the end of the world. And you've more or less stopped black's attack. And I reckon you could hang in there for quite some time. You know, make a bit of a fight of it. What do you think, Ifu? Would you think white would have a reasonable chance of hanging for a while?
Yeah.
So don't always think of, moving the queen just because it's attacked. Think of the line that's going to make it hardest for your opponent. But in the game, of course, white played queen e3. All right, what should we do? You want to play knight takes knight or some other move, or?
Knight takes knight.
Okay, that's sort of the obvious move. You may want to have a think about whether we want to chuck in bishop takes knight first, But at some stage, white might still get in that annoying knight d5. So, and in fact, black doesn't do knight takes knight. He does bishop c5, which is pretty tricky. I think knight takes knight is probably the simplest. So if pawn takes, bishop takes, and now we're threatening mate with queen g6 check, and we're threatening to take the rook. Maybe black has to play king f1 and just give up the exchange. So it's not the best, but Atlas played bishop c5. Okay. That looks a bit tricky, doesn't it? What do you reckon white should do about that? Because now we're threatening knight takes knight check with the discovered attack on the queen. Can you see any defense, Ifu?
Knight takes knight.
Okay. Yes, I think knight takes knight would be the best. So you go knight takes knight. I suppose he could do pawn takes knight if he wants to fork our pieces, and he's still got bishop takes rook. So we'll end up being a bit down. In fact, white played a funny move. He went king h1. Doesn't look the greatest. So, what's our next move? Got a pretty strong attacking move here. Come on, Ifu, what do you think? It's not too hard. Yeah, knight takes knight. Because now he can't really take us back because our bishop's on the queen. So we've picked up a knight. So white goes queen e2. Again, he could have tried, if he was awake and thinking about his possibilities, he could have chucked in knight d5, maybe just to annoy us a bit and get the queen away from that good square. But he didn't do that. He's only focusing on one little part of the board where his queen's attacked, and he went e2. All right, now, tricky test for you guys here, because I think Atlas didn't play the best move. What move do you reckon black should do here? Black to play. There's at least two good moves. So Oliver wants to take the rook. Knight takes rook. Doesn't look too bad. Anyone else have any thoughts? Ifu, what are you thinking?
I was sort of thinking knight takes rook and queen takes h4 and queen h4.
Okay, queen h4. He's going to be able to play pawn takes knight.
Yeah.
So that's going to kill off that one. No one's seen the move I was thinking of. It's only Oliver's going knight takes rook. All right, there is. So knight takes rook is the obvious move, and it wins a rook for a knight. So that's pretty good. But if we see a good move, say again, Ifu.
Knight takes pawn.
Yes, that's the move I like. I think if it were me, I'm going to play knight takes h2 because I want to finish off his king really quickly. So if he moves his queen, then I can follow up with queen h4, and it's going to be a quick checkmate. And if he blocks my bishop attacking his queen, I can just go back and take it again. So it's pretty horrible. So I think this is one of the cases where you see a good move, just have a quick look around in case there's a better move. But Atlas went knight takes e1. Now, should white take the knight or take the bishop, do you think? What do you reckon, Ifu? Take the knight or take the bishop?
Take the bishop.
Take the bishop. Why did you say take the bishop?
Once you take the knight, your d-rook is also lost.
Okay. All right. This is another case where we need to analyse our moves out thoroughly and say what's he going to reply. So if we take the knight, it doesn't look too hot because he can just take it. Hang on, he can take the rook. We take the bishop, and we're just, what are we down? 2 rooks for a knight. It's pretty terrible, isn't it? All right, so, but we could take the bishop, and then we say, hang on, we've saved our rook. We're only down 1 rook for not much. Is that what you were thinking? So you chose the bishop like that?
And then I realized queen takes f2 just wins.
Yes. So we have to look a little bit further. So queen takes f2, and we're cactus. It's forced mate in 3, because black's going to play queen to g1 mate, and we could sacrifice our queen, or we could play queen e2, which is in the game, which didn't really help. Queen g1 mate. Okay, all right. Well, that was an interesting sort of typical junior game, I think. I think Atlas, being the Australian under-8 champion, played quite well. He did okay tactically. He made pawn to a6 was a bit of a funny move, but he put his pieces on good squares, made his king safe, did okay out of the opening. And I think White wasn't quite such a good player. He understood about moving his pieces and developing them and putting on reasonable squares, but he's just not paying attention to the tactics and what he could have done. He kept missing knight d5 and perhaps missing what Atlas was threatening. So it's very important for you guys to not only understand the 4 basic things we're talking about, time, space, material, king safety, but to always consider the tactics and ask yourself, what's the opponent threatening and what's he going to reply if I do this particular move. Okay, well, that's the end of the lesson for today. Just a reminder for those of you who are in Melbourne Sunday week, we have RJ Shield tournaments on, one in the normal place in Tucker Road and a new one at our chess centre in Mount Waverley. That'll be the one I'm going to. So if any of you guys want to play some tournaments Sunday week, I'll be very happy to see you at